Because that's not how God created us to be. God created us to need leaders in our lives. And the enemy would want to do nothing more than to distort and to tear down terrible leadership, to show you that you don't need anybody, that you only need yourself, and then you'll get alienated and isolated and you'll get weird.
Right.
And I don't know about you, but I don't want to get weird. And I know in my life, the testimony of our life, walking with the Holy Spirit, has been so beautiful. But man, we have had leaders since we were tiny babies, our parents and leaders in the church, leaders in our ministry, leaders till this day, who have not only encouraged us, but called us on our crap. And you will never in your life, whether you're 0 or 80, not need people in your life.
Right.
Amen.
We need people in our life. And maybe you're like, I don't know who that is right now in my life right now. I believe the Holy Spirit, if you get alone with him and you say, God, who do I have in my life right now that needs to be leading me and drafting me? So let's get rid of that thing, that gnarly spirit of anti-leadership thing, and let's really press into the beauty of leadership.
Yeah.
Man, correction sucks. Nobody wants correction, right? But what's the Bible say about correction? Love correction.
Love correction.
Love it. And that's what we really need from the Lord, is just that ability to love correction. Because I can tell you, so many times in my life, I remember Chris Falcon, who's up here, just beautiful. Chris is amazing, and he's been a leader in our life since I came to Bethel 20 years ago. And we have had hell and high water together in our relationship. I'll just be very real with you. I could not...
Tell us more.
If you're going to love leadership and you're going to love the church, you're going to have some sucky days.
Yeah.
And you're not going to agree, and you're not going to see it, and sometimes you're going to be wrong, and sometimes they're going to be wrong. But if you will stick with it, the beauty that comes, because Chris has called me on my crap, and I've called him on his. And the beauty of the fact that we need each other is the very thing the enemy hates. Because iron sharpens iron. Now, have you ever heard iron sharpening iron? A knife sharpener? You ever sharpened a knife? It is a terrible, shrill noise. And sometimes for iron to truly sharpen iron, it takes conflict. It takes discomfort. But if you lean into that, if you know that the will of God on your life is that you see in part, and somebody else has that part that you need, my God, the beauty. So I just want to encourage you today, love leadership, love correction. And if it is something right now that you don't have, maybe you don't have a church where you feel connected, I would encourage you to do this one simple thing. Ask God what church you are called to. Very simple. Maybe you have a great church, maybe you don't. But I believe that every person on the planet is called to serve locally in a church.
Amen.
And maybe if you don't feel called and God's not giving you a name, maybe you're supposed to pastor. But I believe in the beauty of the church. The church has been there for me my entire life. And I know a sense of local community and global strength that is so stunning. You wouldn't even believe it. And the health in our life is so rooted in local people who know you. Know you're good, you're bad, you're ugly. They come to your baby showers. They throw your baby showers. I mean community. Your children, they love your children. It really takes a village. And the church is that village. That you have a surrounded, planted family. The value of being planted in leadership and in church is so beautiful. But it will take some rough go. But if you don't give up, if you lean in, if you refuse to let, like Robert Madu said, that all that stuff, all that fence get in your way, and you'll lean in, and you'll remember this, no matter where God calls you. I've been at Bethel 21 years. There have been rough days, weeks, and years at my church with our leadership, who are the most incredible people on the planet. But I'm just going to be real with you. It is not an easy ride. And if anyone's been surfing before, you have to paddle your life away to get out to that wave to ride it in, but it is worth it for that 30 seconds, euphorically being on that wave. It is worth it. And it's just like loving the church and like loving people. You've got to stay in the game and love them. Don't get weird.
I was thinking about this because there's this whole thing right now, since we're on the subject of the anti-church kind of thing, and not to like poke that or even though we obviously it's wrong, it's like telling God his daughter's ugly and he just not. I'll tell you a funny story. I told this last year, but it's kind of how God uses church. You kind of can't mess with the church. And you can try, you can do all no matter what the church has done to you, saying bad things about the church, it never works with God. I went to a friend's house. Some of you have heard this. That mint is stuck right there in my throat. I'm going to try to act like it's not, but... In Ohio, I went to this place to go hunting with a friend of mine, and it was a dairy farm, and the guy brought me into his office. He's super pumped, he's super excited to show me something. And he brought me in, and there on the wall was a 2-headed calf stuffed, taxidermy on the wall. 2 heads. It was born and then it died, but it had 2 heads. No, true story. And he was so pumped to show me this 2-headed calf, and I got this picture right then. That's the church, and he was God, so excited to show me this 2-headed. Kind of dysfunctional, ugly, weird, and the irony of that is so real. So you can get that picture. Nothing will ever be perfect, but he loves his church. And I started thinking about the anti-church movement. I was really thinking about it, and I really feel like God's spoken about this. Not in completion, but just in part. That part of the reason is that obviously we know there's safety. There's safety being planted in the house of God with people, with relationships, with all of that, The way a marriage works is like, if I'm not having a good day, she can help me, and vice versa. That's how it works with a relationship. If you're out on your own, you guys ever watch those shows when it's like people living off grid on their own? What happens?
Oh boy.
I don't want to I love those shows. But you can get like, if you have nothing else around you, it can get interesting. We'll just stop there. There's safety in there, but also, I really feel like God, if you stand back and you watch, the movements around the world that have chosen to hang on and make God the highlight, with all of its imperfection, God is honoring, and here's why. Because God honors houses of worship, because in houses of worship, people can connect with Him. It's that simple. If you mess with a structure or a church or a house where people are actually connecting with God and having encounters with God, it does not sit well with God. He honored David because David had it in his heart ahead of time to create houses of worship so people could commune with God. And so it's really that simple. And so I really think I've watched houses of, not perfect around the world that God put a stamp on them. And it's almost like they're indestructible. Not that they are, but like there's an honor, there's a favor of God that comes on a house of worship. So if you're planted in a church where God is the highlight, that's the goal.
Amen.
Perfection's not the goal. But where God is the highlight, where Jesus is preached, that's the goal. And you watch over time through honor and serving, the Holy Spirit will move and possibly use you in that environment.
So good. Psalms, I was talking with Carrie Job Carnes, and about a year ago, we were talking about, with Cody and her, about just friends of ours, especially in the worship movement. We do this special thing where we hang out with a bunch of people and love on them, and we're just talking about, different people, and just so beautiful. We gather together and just celebrate what God's doing globally in worship. Just a bunch of different worshipers. It's just so special. And so we're just talking about it, and we just kind of stood back and we were talking about the people who are really just doing so well, and not on a financial or a notoriety, but just really flourishing. And the different people that just was a set apart, as you could see it on it. And Carrie said, Harry, that's a nice one. Carrie, you are not Harry. But Carrie said, you're salty. But she said, it's the word of God, Psalms 92:13. Those who are planted in the house of the Lord flourish. And I don't want to just be okay or doing good or hanging on. I want to flourish in my life. And that is a key for us, is to be planted in the house of the Lord, you flourish. And sometimes, I know for us as musicians, it's too easy to feel like you're serving God by leading worship and doing sound check and all the hours we put into, this whole thing, and we're serving. But man, serving is so different when you think about serving the church. I love leading worship, I love speaking, but serving and being the church, especially on a Sunday in a corporate gathering, is very different. When we come to church, we're not just coming to get it. We're coming to be. Right. We've got a girl in our church with a disability, and she is so beautiful, and it is really difficult. I'll cry. It's really difficult for her to even get one sentence out, because it takes her a lot of time. But man, this girl is so beautiful, and I know her by name, and I do my best to go hug her every single Sunday. Yeah. Because I love her. And I love the church, and that's the church. It's you showing up and you looking around at the people of God and the people who are coming in to be the people of God, and you loving them. You loving them and you reaching out to the one. And here's what's crazy about God is you just have these people that, you have them, right? You go into church and you're just naturally drawn to somebody. You go give them a hug, ask the Holy Spirit what He's saying to them, and reach out and really be the church. Dig in, and don't just come expected to receive or do your part on the stage if you're leading, but being the church is so beautiful. And what's really profound is this sweet girl, she gave me one of the most incredibly timely prophetic words I've ever received in my life. And you just never know the gift of God. And it's not about what you get. You serve to serve. But man, when you love, what you get in return is beyond your wildest dreams.
Amen.